Okay, so does the public even approve of Lee Jae Myung? Do they like what he's doing? Is he representative of the change that they have wanted to see within their government? Well, you know, I was listening to members of the PPP speak when he first became, or before he became president, about the stimulus cards, and it's a very interesting conversation because they framed his stimulus cards as a buying off the electorate. He's buying off the Korean people, and to an extent, I mean, yeah, like, yeah, he is. But also, I mean, tactically, it's hard to argue against it. You had inflation out of control, you had prices going up, and you had no real government response from the former administration to this. And so consumption was down. People weren't spending. People were trying to save every penny they had, and and so now you had this, the president coming out and saying, well, yeah, we're going to help you out. You guys need to pay down your bills. Hey, you need to pay some rent. Here, we are going to help you out. And there's still, I know there's still a couple, I believe there's another round. It's either another two more rounds or one more round. I can't remember right now off the top of my head. But those stimulus checks to help consumption, I think, did a lot more to the credibility of EJ Myung than it hurt it, because people, and specifically the PPP, came off and said he's a communist, he's this, he's that. Which, by the way, he's no communist, but he's this, he's that. Um, they tried to frame him as this huge boogeyman prior to the this election, way back in 2021 when he was leaning, or he was running as a more progressive candidate. As now he's shifted himself to be more centrist, which we'll see. I mean, this is still very early days, so we'll see. He still has these left wing leanings. We'll see if he actually leans more centrist, and I don't really think he needs to put on a veneer of whether or not he's left wing or right wing. I think, or left wing or centrist. I think if he wants to be a far left candidate, he's not running for re-election, so it doesn't truly matter. And the PPP is in such dysfunction that it really, truly wouldn't matter. But Lee Jae Myung, and I wanted to harp on the stimulus cards because it really highlighted how quickly government could work, how quickly they could get something done that was a priority. Those stimulus cards, economic, they called it economic emergency. And I think that was smart because it brought it to, and I should have pulled up the polling. I forgot to grab it, but you saw the polling where people were overwhelmingly, I want to say the polls were like at 54%. People were in favor of the stimulus cards. And now that they're out, now that they've been used, and now that they've stimulated some consumption within the economy, GDP growth numbers are up, what do the general public feel? Well, I have this from Real Meter. It's a polling firm, and I really actually like their work. They're very detailed, very oriented. This is from Real Meter. EJ Myung, currently right now, sits at a 54.5 approval rating. That's a He's above water by 4.5 points. But this is actually low for him. This is him when he's having a rough time. I mean, I think there's some backlash in these polls and these numbers. There's some backlash to the events that happened with the United States, the Hyundai plant, and of course, his numbers are a dip there. But this is fan freaking tastic, and I wanted to dig just a little bit deeper because I wanted to show this. When you look in the conservative strongholds, Lee Jae Myung, he's currently down in Daegu. He's currently down, but just a week ago, he was at 47.1%. He's now sitting at 42.1 approval, with 49.5% disapproval. Okay, Okay, not great, not hot, but I do want to state this. His numbers in Daegu, his numbers are better than Trump and Biden's approval rating, both currently and before Biden left office. So he is doing better. He is doing better in Daegu than either one of the US presidents. But take a look at this. Busan, another conservative stronghold. He is at a 54.6% approval rating. That is insane. In the conservative stronghold, the president is liked. The president is liked. Lee Jae Myung is liked. And so, the villainization. He's going to destroy the country. He's going to destroy the economy. He has stabilized the economy here. He's caused some growth here. Yes, do we need to talk about youth unemployment? Absolutely. Yes, those numbers were bad even before his administration. But when people look at Lee Jae Myung, when people look at his presidency, they overwhelmingly think he's doing a good job. And what's even more interesting about this is Lee Jae Myung's global ranking. This is from Statistica. This is from Statistica. Look at this. Lee Jae Myung, of all the world leaders, is ranked number 2 with the 59%. I believe this is them averaging out all their numbers. With the 59% approval rating and 30% disapproval rating. That is insane. To be the second most popular world leader, that is insane. People like the job that Lee Jae Myung is doing. They think that he is helping maintain the economy. They think that he is restoring order to the chaos that was the Yoon administration. Now, is this still the honeymoon period? Well, I think it's ended. I think the honeymoon period has started to come to an end. You're starting to see his numbers pop out of the 60s down into the low 50s. I think the honeymoon period has come to an end, but I also think this is the time now where he needs to stake his claim on the economy. I think he needs to stake his claim on industry, and I really, really think he needs to stake his claim on social reform. Social reform. What is he going to do to improve the quality of lives, the day in, day out lives of everyday Koreans? I still think that the baby crisis is something he at least needs to address. I still think the work culture is something that he needs to address. The wage disparity gap is something that he needs to address. But as of right now, the way that the Korean public is generally feeling is that, well, under his leadership, he is doing a good job. And can you really disagree with them? I mean, can you really disagree with them? There were 6 months of instability. And now Koreans can happily ignore politics if they so wish to. And I think that's when you think of an everyday person, someone who's not in the weeds like us, if you think about an everyday person, they don't want to worry about politics. They don't want to worry about, the president doing this, that, or the other thing. They just want to go to work and want to have a good quality of life. And them not having to worry about who the president is and what he's doing, it's doing a good job so far. So, do the Korean public generally think he's doing a good job? I can't really argue with that. However, there is, and I want to be fair about how I'm going to frame this in terms of his foreign policy. I think there was some hopium in how he handled the U.S., the Trump administration, and I think that has come to burn him. That has come back to bite him in the butt. And I think that segues really nicely into our next conversation on tariffs. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked that video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have a comment, go ahead and leave one down there. Thank you, and see you in the next one.